Rex never barked like that before. Not once in 6 years. Caleb Webb had heard that dog bark at snakes, at strangers, at the wind hitting the metal roof at night. But what came through the morning air that day was something else completely. It was not a warning. It was not anger. It was the kind of sound a dog makes when it has no other way to say, "Come outside right now." Caleb lived alone on a small piece of land just outside Amboseli, Kenya. He had moved there 3 years ago after things back home stopped making sense. He kept a vegetable patch, 2 goats, and Rex, a 5-year-old German shepherd with a brown and black coat and eyes that always looked like they were thinking about something serious. Most mornings, the two of them would sit on the front step together and watch the sun come up over the flat land. That was the routine. Quiet. Simple. Enough. But that Thursday morning there was no quiet. Caleb stepped outside in bare feet, squinting into the early light, and stopped completely still. Rex was standing at the edge of the yard. And right beside him, pressed so close their bodies were touching, was a baby elephant. She was tiny. That was the first thought that hit Caleb. He had seen elephants before, plenty of them, but never one this small. She barely came up to Rex's shoulder. Her skin was dusty and dry and covered in small cuts, the kind you get from pushing through thorn bushes. Her ears were too big for her head and they drooped down like wet paper. Her legs were shaking. Not from the cold. From exhaustion. And her eyes. She had these big dark brown eyes that looked straight at Caleb the second he walked out, and they did not look like animal eyes in that moment. They looked like the eyes of a child who had been walking alone for a very long time and had finally found a door to knock on. Rex turned and looked at Caleb. Then looked back at the elephant calf. Then back at Caleb. He did not need to say anything else. Caleb looked down at the ground. The tracks told the whole story. Rex's paw prints and the small round marks of the elephant calf, coming together from somewhere far out in the bush, across the dry grass, all the way to this yard. Rex had found her out there in the dark and had walked her home. Nobody asked him to. Nobody trained him for it. He just did it because it was the right thing to do. Caleb exhaled slowly. He had no idea what to do with a baby elephant. But he knew he had to figure it out fast. The first thing she needed was water. Caleb could see it just by looking at her. The skin around her eyes was slightly sunken. Her small trunk hung low and barely moved. She was not exploring or looking around the way healthy animals do. She was just standing there, using every bit of energy she had left just to stay on her feet. Caleb went inside, filled the biggest bucket he owned, and carried it out slowly. He set it down about 3 meters away from her and then stepped back and sat on the ground. He did not walk toward her. He did not make any sudden moves. He just sat there and waited. The elephant calf watched him. Her ears moved slightly. Her trunk lifted just a little, testing the air. Rex walked to the bucket first. He lowered his head and drank. Long, slow, relaxed. Like he was saying, "Look, this is fine, nobody is going to hurt you here." The calf watched Rex for almost a full minute. Then she took one step forward. Then another. Her legs were still shaking but she kept moving until her trunk touched the edge of the bucket. She dipped it in, pulled it back, dipped it in again. She had not learned yet how to use her trunk to drink the way adult elephants do. So she just lowered her whole head and drank with her mouth directly from the bucket. Water ran down both sides of her face and dripped off her chin. She did not care. She just kept drinking and drinking until the bucket was empty. Caleb did not move the whole time. He just watched. When she finished, she walked a few steps to the side and then folded her legs slowly and lay down on the ground. Rex lay down right beside her without hesitating. His warm body pressed against her side like a wall. She let out one long, shaky breath and her eyes closed. Caleb sat there in the dirt watching them, and for a moment he could not say a single word even if someone had asked him to. He called the Amboseli Wildlife Trust as soon as he got back inside. The woman on the phone, Dr. Siona, told him the calf looked to be around 3 to 4 months old based on his description. At that age, she could not survive without milk, real elephant milk formula, the kind they kept at the rescue center. But their truck had gone out that morning for another emergency and would not be back until the following evening at the earliest. Caleb looked out the window. The calf was still lying on the ground. Rex had not moved from beside her. He asked Dr. Siona what he could use in the meantime. She told him. Fresh full-fat milk, a little warm water, a small amount of coconut oil. Not perfect but enough to keep her alive through the night. Caleb grabbed his keys. The call came on a Tuesday morning. Dr. Siona said the truck was ready. They had space at the center now. They would be there by noon to take the calf. Caleb stood in the kitchen holding the phone long after the call had ended. He looked out the window. Nala was in the yard, pulling at a pile of fresh grass he had put out for her that morning. Rex was lying 2 feet away, watching her the way he always did, calm and steady, like a guard who never fully clocks out. 3 weeks had passed since that first morning. 3 weeks of 5 a.m. feedings and muddy hooves on the porch and Rex sleeping in the yard instead of inside because he refused to leave Nala alone at night. 3 weeks of watching something broken slowly become something strong. Caleb had told himself from the beginning that this was temporary. He had believed it too. But standing there watching them through the glass, he understood that knowing something and feeling it are two completely different things. The truck arrived just after 12. 2 people stepped out, kind and professional, and they brought a proper crate lined with hay and everything Nala would need for the ride. They had done this many times before. They knew what they were doing. Nala did not want to go in. She backed up the moment she saw the crate. Her ears went flat. Her trunk wrapped around Rex's neck and she just stood there, holding on to him, and Rex let her. Caleb spent 20 minutes sitting on the ground with both of them, not saying much, just being there. Then he stood up, walked to the crate and called her name. She looked at him. Then at Rex. Rex walked forward slowly right up to the edge of the crate and stopped. He looked back at her. That was all he did. And she followed him. She walked in on her own. Slow steps, but her own. When the doors closed and the truck began to pull away, Rex ran beside it for as long as he could. He did not bark. He just ran, keeping pace with the truck until the road curved and there was nothing left to follow. Then he stopped, sat down in the dust, and watched it disappear. Rex did not eat for 2 days after Nala left. He just lay in the spot where she used to sleep, nose on his paws, eyes open, waiting for something that was not coming back. Caleb sat with him each night, hand on his back, not saying much. There was nothing useful to say. A week later, Caleb drove to the rescue center. He did not tell Rex where they were going. He just opened the truck door and Rex jumped in the way he always did, ears up, nose already reading the air outside the window. But the closer they got, the more still Rex became. Like something inside him already knew. When they pulled through the center gates, Dr. Siona met them and led them down a wide path toward the open field where the calves were kept. Caleb heard her before he saw her. A low rumbling sound, the kind elephants make when they feel safe and full and at peace. Then Nala looked up. She was bigger already. Even in 1 week. She stood straighter, moved with more confidence, and around her were 3 other young elephants who had clearly already accepted her as one of their own. She had a herd now. A real one. Rex saw her at the same moment she saw him. She crossed that field faster than Caleb had ever seen her move. Rex ran to meet her at the fence, front paws up on the wire, tail going in every direction at once. Her trunk came through the gap and found his face and she just held it there. Not moving. Just holding. Caleb stood back and let them have that moment. He thought about that first morning. The shaking legs. The empty bucket. Rex lying down beside her without being asked. He thought about how strange it was that a dog going out alone one night into the dark could change everything about how a person sees the world. He had come to Kenya to get away from people. He had ended up learning more about love out here than he ever had around them. Nala pulled her trunk back slowly. She looked at Rex. Then at Caleb. Then she turned and walked back toward her herd. Rex watched her go. Tail still wagging. Slow and easy now. Caleb put his hand on the dog's back. They stayed until the sun went down.